Welcome to Sacred Spaces Advanced School of Ancestral Communication. We're going to talk about Unyansapo and continue that conversation about the wisdom knot from from my conversation yesterday. I'm Queen Carlinia. I'm the founder of Project Home Incorporated, and I'm also the author of Soul Mark for Life. One second. So I'm going to show you again that wisdom, what that wisdom knot looks like. It's an Adinkra symbol. That's what it looks like, Unyansapo. And it is a knot that is said to be so intricately tied that only the wise can untie it, because only the wise people or wise individual have the patience that is needed to unravel that knot without destroying the entire structure. So when we're talking about Unyansapo, we're really talking about situations, relationships, the relationship we have with ourselves, the relationship that we have with other people within our family, our intimate relationships, the relationships we have with nature, with our environment, with our coworkers. These relationships can sometimes be what others call, or you may call it an entanglement. Well, how do you untangle the knot without destroying everything in the process, without breaking bonds that are not supposed to be broken? Well, there is a process. As Afro-Rakanu and Afro-Kaitnu individuals, we have a decision making process that is a 7-step process. Now, you all hear me talk about the male and female names of that first landmass that rose above the most ancient waters at the dawn of creation. Our ancestors and ancestresses called it by its male name of Afu Raka and female name of Afu Ra'et Kaet. Well, this Unyansapo process is a 7-step process. And if you can remember the first letter of each of the word, if you can remember the first letter in Afu Raka, am I saying that right? Each step, each of the 7 steps carry a letter that corresponds with the word Afu Raka. That is what I am seeking to transmit here, to convey to you. So the first step is A. As Afro-Rakanu and Afro-Kaitnu people, we have to become aware of who we are as descendants of those first mothers and fathers that were birthed through that divine land. We have to be aware of our descendants as ourselves, as offspring of the creator and the creatress. That speaks directly to our identity. So the second step is AF, because we're talking about Afu Raka, focus. You heard me say we got to put blinders on. We have to put blinders on. We have to put blinders on. We have to keep our eye on the prize. Where are we going? What is our destination? Where are we moving towards? So we keep our focus on the situation. We're talking about decision making. So we have a decision that we're going to make. We have to first be aware of our identity as Afro-Rakanu or Afro-Kaitnu people, offspring of the creator and the creatress. Okay. And then secondly, focus on how the situation that we are making a decision about, how it relates to you and I as an Afro-Rakani or Afro-Kaitnu person. So let me give you an example here. I have a program, a youth authors program that I'm launching for our kids of the cosmos. Okay. So the now the question, the decision um, that I have to make is when to launch this program. Okay. I have most of everything in place, but I still know there are things that are yet undone. But how does this program relate to me as an Afro-Rakanu and Afro-Kaitnu, Afro-Rakani or Afro-Kaitnit individual? Well, how it relates to me is that in this program, this youth author program, we will be teaching our youth about their own story, about who they are, about their names, about their nature, about their lineage, their matriclan and their patriclan, their mother's lineage and their father's lineage, where they come from, so they can see where they fit in their family, but how they function, where they fit is how they function in their family, as well as the larger function that their family has. Because once they begin to go through this process, what they're doing, they're reclaiming their identity, they're reclaiming their connection to their ancestors and ancestresses, which are really their mothers and fathers. But now it's not some vague idea. They can literally connect it to, this is the person who raised my mom and dad. This is the person who raised my mom and dad's mom and dad. This is the person with whom they grew up with. This was their brothers and their sisters. And so there's a real connection. And through those stories, they have a connection to what was going on in real time in the area. What are we doing? We're taking back our territory. We're kings and queens on this earth. We are the mothers and fathers of humanity. There are things that we know how to do, and we have no idea how we know how to do them, but we're old, we're ancient. And as we grow through lifetimes, as we grow through lifetimes, as we grow through lifetimes, we retain the knowledge. And so some of us come in here and we're operating at an incredible level of achievement. And when we see that in children, we call them child prodigies. The reality, it is a returning ancestor and ancestress. If you only have been raised up in white culture, that doesn't resonate with you. It does not make sense to you because you haven't been taught about who you are. As a matter of fact, the way you have been taught is to move against who and what you are. And that's why you reject these ideas. That's why you find it hard to accept, because it goes against the Jesus that you know. It goes against the God that you know. It goes against the limitation that you have been taught and that you have been raised up in. And so there comes a time when there is a cleansing that needs to take place. And the cleansing, that washing, that brain washing, that brain cleansing comes, listen to my words, that brain washing, that brain cleansing comes with the information about who you are. And when you check it against reality, what is happening in real time, when you check it against what has happened in your own personal experiences, you're going to see that there is a resonance. Now, you can move against that if you want to. That's your conditioning, and you can choose to embrace your conditioning. But at some point, your conditioning will surface, and your conditioning will limit your ability to respond. When you need to respond in the moment, it will limit your ability to respond because you don't know who you are or what you are, so you don't know how you're supposed to function. And although you have unction, an unction to function in a certain way, you will say, but for Jesus, but for God. No, we're supposed to love all our enemies. We're the same. You're coming with the conditioning, and you're not moving instinctively. When we begin to move instinctively, there we are so ancient, we are so old. Our spirit and our soul is ancient, it is old, beyond this time. Our spirit goes beyond this time. That's why I said we grow through lifetimes. Just as we grow in this lifetime, we grow from a baby into an adult. We don't go back, we don't revert to being a baby. When you grow, you move as you grow, you move as you understand. If you don't understand something, you can't operate in it, you can't function in who you are if you don't understand who you are. So when reality comes knocking at your door, you do not have a response because you don't know what you're supposed to do. And what you have been conditioned to do is to sit down, hold hands with the demons that would suppress you and seek to eradicate you. That's what you do. And that's why you're helpless. You believe you have to obey these man-made fake laws instead of universal law created by Mother and Father God. You believe that, and you believe that because of your conditioning. So when you come out of the condition that you're in, that's what growing is. Growing is embracing a new condition. You're embracing new knowledge, and you have the ability to apply that knowledge in real time. When you begin to operate in that manner, then things change. Okay, so focusing on the situation, how it relates to you as an individual of Afro-Wakani or Afro-White descent, a offspring of the creator and the creatress, reclaiming our territory, reclaiming our land, reclaiming our knowledge from within our family. That's what I'm doing with this Kids of the Cosmos Youth Author Program. So I understand it's necessary and it's in alignment with the reason that I'm here on earth at this point in time. So the first step is to be aware of who we are. The second step is to focus on the situation, how it relates to us as an offspring of the creator and the creatress. And then the third the third letter in Afu Raka is U, and that U is for ultimatum, because now we have to make a decision. We make a final decision about what what are we going to how are we going to move with regards to this thing that's facing us. So I'm talking about the launch of Kids of the Cosmos Youth Author Program. I'm going to make my final decision rooted in the knowledge of what is right. And so what is right is dependent on what is my excuse me what is my function. And so I am helping our children to regain their function, to regain their memory. That is what is right. So I'm going to decide that yes, I am going to launch my Kids of the Cosmos Youth Author Program. Now, the fourth step is R, requirements. Okay, I have to recognize what is necessary physically and spiritually in order for me to carry out this decision. So, what is required from me physically are the things that I need to do. When I tell you all I'm launching this youth author program, and you all come to me and say, how can I get my child involved? Is there a cost? Yes, there's a cost. Well, how much is it? It's $140. Well, how do I pay it? Well, if I haven't thought about, oh my goodness, how am I going to receive payment? Then I'm not ready to launch, right? Or I can receive payment, but how am I going to deliver the product? If I haven't literally walked through each of those steps, how am I going to deliver the product to you? Are we going to meet in person? Are we going to meet virtually? Are we going to have a combination of those things? And if we are, do I have the capacity to fulfill that? Do I have a place for us to meet virtually? Do I have a place for us to meet physically? These are the physical things that I have to go through. Do I have the energy required? Do I have the the physical things that are required? Do I have the paper? Do I have the information, the instructions to give to the children as well as to the parents? And if I'm doing it virtually, how am I serving the people virtually? Do I have ways for them to download the information, or do I have to mail it to them? All of these are the physical requirements, but then there are the spiritual requirements. Am I listening? Am I going into the silence? And the silence is an outer silence. There's a continual conversation that's going on. So I'm not going into just a quiet space. I'm going in to receive instruction on how to handle objectives and obstacles and things that come up. I'm going in there to strengthen my connection with the Abosom, with Nana Ajo, or the Bosom that governs my spirit. And I'm going there to be able to hear clearly and to move according to what I hear and when I hear it, right? So there's a natural timing and a flow to things. And so I'm looking at what is required spiritually of me, what is required of me physically. So I'm strengthening myself out here as well as internally. Then the fifth step is to act. Now the decision is, okay, am I going to launch? Yes, carry out the decision. Once I put these things in place, now I act to carry out the decision. And and that may mean, okay, once I give myself a timeline to complete these things, I'm going to let you all know what date you all can enroll your children. And then now that I've carried out this decision and I've told you all about it, I keep my focus on the validity of the decision because I have gone through each of these steps. I know who I am. I know what the situation is. I know how I relate to the situation as an Aphrodite Chitinate individual. I made my decision rooted in the knowledge of what is right based on divine order. Now, my final step. So that's K for keeping my focus on the validity of the decision I made. And then my final step is to attest, to take ownership of that decision, my behavior and the results. So if you challenge me, if you ask me some things If I'm challenged by self doubt and things like that, I have what is necessary within me. I have the necessary strength based on my process to withstand all of those obstacles. And then what I set out to do is done. I'm empowering the children to know who they are, to know how they function, so now they can begin to move within their function, within their families, within their community, within their school, and eventually within the world. This is the Unyansapo process. And again, if you remember the first letter of every step, one way to remember the first letter of every step is to remember the word Afu Raka, AFU RAKA. We become aware of who we are